YouTube, it's me, Jen, your Pudgy Picker.
And Kim.
And we are here for another podcast, Two Sisters,
One Booth.
And this week, we are on podcast number 43.
43.
So, before we get into, as I would say, the meat and potatoes.
I can't have potatoes, but okay, you mean potatoes.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But before we get into what we're going to be talking about this week, which you've already seen in the title, we have good news. Kim, I have good news and I have bad news. Which do you want first?
Oh, give me the bad news.
Oh, you're one of those.
Yes.
Okay, the bad news is our podcasts are going to come to a close at number 50.
What?
I know.
No, not that.
Yeah, I know. See, you're getting all hepped up on your fame now and you don't want to let it go.
Well, then can we move on to the good news? Because I really need to hear something now.
So good news is we are going to do another different type of show.
Yippee!
There you go. But you got to put your face on because you're going to be in front of the camera more.
Oh, watch what you ask for.
Bad news, good news, bad news.
Yeah, there you go.
So I know a lot of you who listen, I should say, often they just want to see us.
Our cute little adorable faces.
And I've explained on many occasions that a podcast is just audio. And I'm eventually going to try and put these on some kind of forum that has a podcast. So it means audio, you cannot use video.
Yep.
So that was the whole reason in us doing a podcast. So what we're going to be doing next is we're going to do a show once a month. And I know it's not every week, but the show is essentially going to be about an hour long. And it will cover not only our antique booth, but sourcing and just resale, all, stuff.
Yes.
But some of it will be funny, most of it will be informative, and you're still going to get to see us interact and be our silly selves.
Yeah, now that I've loosened up over time.
Yeah, if you listen to the first podcast, I practically had to poke her every time I needed her to speak.
Well, once in a blue moon, she'd have me on the other one, but I'm so serious that I just was.
This is serious.
Yes, but I've gotten old and my filter doesn't work so good anymore, so.
Yeah, but that's, people want to see that. They want to see us,
Be me?
behave in a a humorous way.
Well, that won't
but that's
take
how
much.
we always are. I mean, it's not like we're all like, let's put on our, let's do our show.
Well, just like when we stopped to get a little bite to eat, and the young girl was laughing at us and everything, and I apologized to her. She's like, no, you're the best customer I've had all day or something. I really enjoyed you. So, yeah, we entertain
and it being like 8 o'clock in the evening, that doesn't say a lot for all the customers she's had today.
No, probably not.
So, yeah, so that's, I know you may be disappointed. Those of you out there who are really, enjoying the podcast, go back and listen to them again.
Yeah, it's
I
like
mean, we've done this essentially almost a year.
Yep, it's like thrifting. You go up the aisle one way, you come back the other way, you find something you missed. So go back and listen to them again. You're liable to learn something you didn't catch first time.
So we've kind of been finding that, we're like, okay, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about?
You can only beat an old dead thrifting horse so long.
So we kind of got to we could do this or that. No, that would be hard to do because you can't see us.
Yep.
And I've also explained to Kim that she can do on her phone little clips of this, that, and the other, and then that can be compiled into our monthly show. Now, we don't really have a name of what we're going to use or how we're going to, brand it, but it'll be, we'll pick a day of the week and then we'll have the first whatever of the month and we'll put that video up there. So,
yep.
I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I think, we'll be able to do a lot more, and we'll be able to explore other options.
Yep.
And you'll have the visual.
Yes, because some people like I am a visual learner.
Yeah, and there's just some things you can't discuss on a podcast.
No.
It's just
well, let's not
there's
scare
lots
them away.
of things you can't discuss on a podcast.
I don't know if we'll scare them away or bring in more viewers with that comment.
Well, hey, I always tell people I'm never going to be a really big YouTuber because I have pride and morals and all that other stuff that would get in the way of having millions of viewers and subscribers.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah. So that being said, we want to encourage, we have a couple more shows, and we're going to have, I think, the 49th episode, we're going to have your questions and answers. So please,
We got to have questions and answers.
yeah, leave comments down below. Have any questions or anything you're interested in, getting us to discuss? Please do that now. We may have a question and answer thing in the next show or whatever. But either way, I really want you, if you have any questions and you've been putting off thinking about, commenting below and, hey, I always wondered, or hey, what about this or that? Now is the time.
Yes. Jump on the bandwagon.
Yes. So we're asking you to do that. And so we'll go ahead and get into what we're going to talk about tonight, which is different ways of getting involved in your antique mall beyond your rent or your obligations.
Yeah, now we're not talking about being nosy and buttoning everybody's business.
We're not?
Okay, well, that's the end of this show. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
So, some places, the only obligation you have is rent.
Yep.
You pay your amount, you come in, you do what you have to do. There's nothing else required of you. No things you have to perform in the store.
Oh, sorry. My brain went the wrong direction on
Yes,
that
it
one.
probably did. So,
I'm tap
But-
dancing on tables.
yeah. So with us, let's discuss some of the obligations that we have. Of course, rent. Everybody has rent.
Yep.
But since we're in a cooperative type of situation, we have certain things we have to do, including working 2 days a month.
Yep.
And we divvy this up. Kim takes, she takes a day, I take a day. They encourage all of the vendors to work at least one of their days on a weekend.
Yes.
Which Kim usually does. She does the register, and she usually picks a Saturday. And then I usually, during non-garage sale season, I will pick a Friday and work. Or I can even do a Thursday or even a Wednesday. I can do that when it's garage sale season because I want to be out there. Thursdays is my garage sale day. So I can do Friday, or if I decide to, switch it up, I can. So that works out for us. So we have the 2 work days a month. Now, we have a single space. If somebody has a double space, they have to work 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah. And there's some people who have 2 and 3 spaces.
And they're there all the time.
They are there all the time. And then there's a lot of people who work, and Kim, you can attest to this, they work mainly Saturdays and Sundays because they have this space, but they have a job. They have a regular 9 to 5 during the week type job. And so when I come in on a weekend, there are vendors I see that I don't really know that well because I'm always there on a weekday and they're always there on a weekend.
Yeah.
So, and remember when we first, before you started working exclusive Saturdays, we would come in and people would, who were working would say, "Can I help you?" It's like, no, we're vendors. It's good.
Yeah, all good.
So, we have the extra work day. And then what else we have to do is when we are working, there's certain obligations that we have, like we have to sign up for a chore at the end of the day. And since our mall does not employ anyone, because the vendors are working the days, we also clean the bathrooms.
Yep, we're maintenance.
Take care of the floors.
Clean up in aisle 5.
Yeah, so that's stuff that falls to us. So every day you come in, you sign in for your work day, and then they have another clipboard that is jobs for the day. So when you get there, if you get there early, you can choose what you want to do. You get there last, you might have a not so good job.
To bring your toothbrush because you're going to be cleaning toilet seats with it.
So there's a lot of different things. Usually I try and pick, we only have one aisle that's carpeted, and that's the carpeting in the aisle and in the booths, and that's ours. So a lot of times I try and get that chore because I can take the vacuum sweeper and go into our booth real quick and do a quick sweep. So that's kind of a dual purpose there.
With me working at the register, I'm not required to do an additional job because my job is pretty intense. And at the end of the day, everybody else has done their chore and out the door, and we're the last ones to go because we have to reconcile our drawer and all the register receipts and everything before we can leave. So
yeah, because that's a very important job, and that's plenty to do. So yeah, and you know, it's like any other thing. There are some vendors, I'm sure you can imagine their faces at this moment, and you listening, of people, if you have that situation, or if you had to do that situation, you're like, I don't think I could see so-and-so would be skipping out without doing the end of the day job. So unfortunately, every mall is going to have that issue, because there are people who give 110%, and then there's other people who, like I would say, they'll walk 2 miles to get out of walking a mile.
Yep.
So there are individuals who, you know, unfortunately, we are all adults, and you would think that you shouldn't have to supervise and watch somebody so close.
Age doesn't define maturity.
Yeah, amen to that. So, yeah, but if that is when you sign up and you know that is part of your responsibility, that's not a suggestion. Working the days, you're not volunteering, you know, to do your end of the day job. You're not doing it to be nice. That is part of your obligation, that when you signed up, paper, you knew that that's part of it. They didn't just spring it on you one day. Now, if you're the kind that comes in and just, you don't have to work a day, that may be, you know, you may enjoy that. You may be glad that you don't. I think it really gives us an insight into what customers are looking for. You know, what kind of things are being sold. What kind of things should I be looking for? So I do think it gives us a little, a foot up on stuff that we're paying attention, and we have more of an interaction with, with the customers, and I think that makes us better vendors.
Oh, yeah.
So, and since we have one booth, and it's both of us, it's divvied up, so it's just not too much for either one of us. Yeah. So once a month, I mean, how many other jobs you work once a month? Not many.
Not make any money at it anyway.
So whether or not that's your circumstance, we'll set that aside. There's other things that you could do, or you could offer to do, that are not part of your commitment of being a vendor, that could really help the store, and also, you know, makes the owners a little more appreciative of you. And, you know, that can come back and help you down the road. Not that that's the reason you do it, of course, but some of the things in our mall that you can do that are above and beyond, that are voluntary, is we have an ad team. And ad money is collected each month from each vendor, pays a certain amount per week, and that money is pooled separately, put into an account. And there are vendors on this committee and the owner who sit and make decisions on how that money should be spent in advertising. And I happen to be on that committee. And I am the treasurer, and I was talked into it. Had my arm twisted because the previous person, had a change in circumstance. And they were looking for somebody, and they talked me into it. So, you know, I've never been in advertising. I have no earthly idea how much it is to run an ad in the newspaper, or to have a commercial on TV, or to have a radio spot. I had no idea. So it's a quick learning.
You do now.
It's a quick learning curve.
And it ain't cheap.
Yeah, especially TV commercials. So that's an area where I've gotten to be, I think, valuable, and my opinion matters. And you're looking at people who are approaching this job from different points of view, from different stages in life. So you get a lot of, different people thinking differently on a situation, and it helps you make a rounded off decision. You got people who are older who are like, newspaper's the way to go.
Yep.
And then you have younger people who are like, newspapers are dying, and you got to be on the internet, and so lots of stuff like that. So, it's not that I was an expert. that I thought, well, I'm going to come in and help on some great level. But I think that it's been a lot of fun, and it's neat. It's a way of seeing the inner workings of the store, and you have different promotional ideas. You know, like, let's have this kind of event. You know, let's invite the police officers and have coffee with a cop. We do that. So many different events that we can advertise on Facebook and say, hey, you know, this weekend we're doing this or we're doing that. Come on in, you know, enjoy it. Just this past Sunday, we had a tea party. Yay. And it was a lot.
With cake.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And we have a vendor who's probably, I'd say he's the youngest vendor there.
Oh, yeah.
He's 24.
I was going to say, he's just early 20s.
He's 24. He's a very, oh my gosh. I told him.
Kind of eclectic.
I told him when we were there, I said, all the women over like the age of 48 want to adopt you. And he just laughed and he goes, I wish I could drum up that kind of interest on girls my own age. I go, well, you know.
Well, we're more mature and we understand.
And his mom, he's like, he's my Renaissance man, you know.
Yes,
so
that's about it.
But he knows a lot about tea. He takes tea at 4 p.m. every day. He has that kind of personality, and that's something he enjoys, something he knows a lot about. So we're like, why don't we have a tea party? He can explain this is the proper way to make tea. Mm-hmm. And we had lots of vendors who had teacups and saucers, pull those from their booth. We literally had 30 or 35, and we got them all washed. These were ones that were for sale, and we laid them out on the table, and then people could come and take one of those, use it to drink their tea. They could buy it if they wanted, or it was washed and put back into the booth. He brought in a cake. He happens to be work down the street. He's the baker, so he did and decorated the cake. So everybody had tea and a little piece of cake. Mm-hmm. And then I came in early and I set up a table of like tons of different things that were tea related. So I, you know, set up this display and all the items. People would peruse them. They could pick things up and buy them. I had tea signs, tea pots. I even had some like vintage and antique gloves. And just, we had, what do you call them, tea balls. They had them in different color, like one was a duck, one was, you know, different shapes. Mm-hmm. One looked like a manatee. You could hang it on the inside of your cup. Those. So we had a lot of tea-related items. So it was a way for people to come in, to have a little tea, sit and talk. A lot of people brought in tablecloths. We covered all the tables. We were able to get some carnations, so we pulled some bud vases out of different booths. So it really looked nice. We took a lot of pictures. We put it on Facebook. Hey, come in from 2 to 4.
And he did demonstrations and explained the, you know, the concept behind tea. It wasn't just here, have a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. So he was, you know, very informative on tea and how to make it at home easily and tasting and.
Yeah, so a lot of people were really interested, and I had, you know, if you've watched my videos, I had a tea set that I saw at Savers. It was $9.99. It was half price. It was a setting for 4, and it had like a dessert plate. I donated essentially that to the store, and they set up like a week before and had a sign, hey, come to the tea party this particular day, 2 to 4. We'll have a drawing for this tea set. And the neat thing was when people were coming in and sitting down, they're like, oh, when's the drawing? And I would give them a ticket to fill out, and I would say, the drawing's at 4, you have to be present. So there was a lot of people that hung out and waited so that they could, you know, shop around and then wait for the tea set to be announced. So that was really cool. That was a way to keep people in there. And I know the owner said she's got a lot of feedback. People thought it was a pleasant time. They thought it was really classy and fun. And, you know, it was an activity. And so it really went well. So we might end up doing it again in a year. Yeah. And I also had the suggestion, which we're probably going to do sometime in the summer, to have a girls' night out. And they have an absolute ton of champagne glasses in that back room. And I'm like, we could get, you know, like the sparkling grape.
Yep.
And, you know, have that and maybe little finger sandwiches. And, you know, it's time to get away and us girls can go shop and So we're going to be working on that. So there's lots of promotions, and if you have some kind of special talent, like, you know, like this vendor, Luke was his name, to come in and to do something like that, he was really excited to participate. And because he knew, you know, it's something he really loved, and he wanted to share it with people.
Yep.
So if, you know, as an owner, if you can find those people that have those special talents, to pull them in and say, hey, could you come in for a couple hours, do a demonstration, you know, and then we just picked that idea up and ran with it, and it really turned out really nice. So, and, you know, when the store succeeds, or when we have an event that brings a lot of people in, it's helping the store, but it's helping me as a vendor too. So that's, you know, an awesome reason to participate, because if you do these things, you're going to get people to come in. So, but that's really good. Like, we've had the coffee with the cop, and people, regular citizens, can come in. You can sit and talk with them and ask them questions. Just come in and shake their hand and say thank you for your service. You know, any of that kind of stuff
yeah, they've come in and did an informative information on protecting yourself. And
the neat thing about that is they came in on a night where it was just like our annual meeting, where we talk about how did we do last year, you know, here's how our sales went, here's what it is compared to last year. So it's just vendors that were there. And this officer came in and he talked about preventing theft. And also, if you saw someone steal in your store, legally, what can you do and what can't you do? And that's something that I don't think most vendors know.
No.
You know, well, can I go up and confront them? Can I stop them from leaving? Can I this? Can I that? And he went over that. And that's something, if you don't know, you should ask your, you know, ask the owners to say, is this something we could do? You know, so if I am working in the store, like us, that we know what to do if we see someone steal something. So that was awesome, and they were happy to do it, because that helps them. Well, if we know how to handle ourselves, you know.
Well, I was thinking, I'm probably a little off topic, but the same topic is, if you have a, like she said, if you have a special knowledge or a special something you really enjoy that you can volunteer to teach or whatever, but including the other people, the other vendors, the other ones that are bringing in this stuff to the store to sell. We have one who's also a manager, and she's been doing special little hour or two long informative things about how to use things like Facebook and, you know, all of those social media sites to increase sales for yourself and the store by promoting items you have on other sites. I mean,
or even like Craigslist, because that's a safer alternative, is you're having them come to the store. You don't have to meet, you know, in some shady place or be worried about that. You can take pictures and then say, hey, it's at this store, here's our hours. And then we have a book up front that if you put something on Craigslist, you put something in there, so when somebody comes in and says, hey, I saw on Craigslist this desk, and instead of going, oh, I have no earthly idea where it is, they can look in there and say, oh, it's in so-and-so's booth, you know, right over there. So, I mean, that's an excellent way of doing that.
So that vendor obviously has a talent. She's familiar with those things. She works with those things. So by her taking her own personal time to come in and teach other vendors that, it's a valuable thing, because it's benefiting you as the vendor in helping you to make more money on your product, but it's also, again, bringing in people to the store, and it benefits all of us.
Yeah, because if you do things to benefit the store, you're benefiting yourself. And if you have a lot of events or things going on, it's going to draw people in, and you don't know exactly what they would like to buy. But getting bodies in the store is always beneficial to all of us.
Yes.
So that's something that, you know, you think, well, you know, I don't have to volunteer my time and this and that. It is benefiting you in the long run. You know, so I know a lot of people, you know, and a lot of people may not have the time, you know. I work 2 jobs and I can barely squeeze in my day that I'm supposed to work. But I think when you get people involved and you find out what their strong suits are and you have them come in, they're more than happy to spend a couple hours, you know, once in a great while to come in and to do something, because they teach it, they're enthusiastic about it, and it gets people interested, and so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you've got to recognize, like in our line of work, it's not like you go past a grocery store and you see the grocery store name and you know it's a grocery store. So you know what's in that store is groceries. With our type of booths, they're eclectic.
Yeah.
Everything in that store can be one of a kind. It's not general merchandise that you can go a mile down the road and find the same exact thing. So if you're able to grab one person's attention, say as this tea party did, they're going to come and they have other interests. So while they're walking around or coming, trying to find where to go, or spending that time for the drawing and looking around, they catch other interests, or they're bringing people with them who are shopping while they're waiting on them, and they're seeing things of interest. The whole point behind is you could never take all the pictures of just your booth and your products and put them in one spot for everybody to see, let alone a whole store's worth. So this is technically like free advertising. If you're able to get a small group of people in there, the best advertisement is word of mouth. And it really is going to save you money. It's going to save time. It's going to bring people in and put money in your pocket.
And even the regular customers that we have, they'll come in and say, oh, this is my sister. She came in from,
Timbuktu.
to come visit. And I said, oh boy, we have to go over and see the store, So, I mean, there's a lot of interest. And like you said, it's not like a grocery store where I have to go buy bread and milk and eggs. I mean, you don't really technically need anything that we sell.
Exactly.
So getting that interest, and this is something to go and do and something to participate in.
Well, I didn't tell you, but on I worked Saturday cashiering. And they told us about something that was on hold. Had a down payment put on it, and these people were coming in to get it. Well, no big deal. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Here, this couple drove all the way in from Columbus.
Wow.
Two and a half hours. Yep. And they didn't even follow us on Facebook or anything. They found it because somebody else they knew posted a picture of something from there.
Yep.
And so they saw it through somebody they knew and went, oh, that's really neat, and looked at the pictures, fell in love, and called up and said, I got to have this. And they drove all the way up here, not having a clue where they were, to pick up these items. So that's how just one person, it took one person to make a comment, and then it spread like wildfire somewhere else.
Yeah, and it's funny because I notice, and you probably notice this a lot on their Facebook, is somebody will comment, and they comment with someone else's name, or hey, so and so, take a look at this, and that tagging and sharing and all that it grows, and people see it and they're like, wow, or hey, we got to get over here, or, any of those things, and it really just drumming up all that interest is important. And I think, I don't know, it seems like our store name is pretty easy to understand. We're antiques and unique, so you think, oh, there's going to be older stuff and then other stuff. And, if your business has a name that makes sense, sometimes you'll go by and you'll see, it's, Josie's Things, and you're like, what's that? I have no idea what that is. But a lot of businesses have, a self-explanatory name, and that makes it easier for people to recognize, oh, I can kind of guess what would be in there. But we've had people who come in and they're like, I can't believe all the stuff in here. I'll be back. I mean, they're excited about it. So having different events and the advertising and that to people to come in is really an awesome way to drum up that interest. Another way we're talking about having some kind of, special talent. We have a lady that does... in one area of the store, she's constantly changing out displays. She goes and gets things from people's booths, and then it'll be themed out. And it's an area where we take things and put them up on the shelves so people can shop and have their hands free, because we don't have carts in our store. So she is always changing and that out, and you could still buy what's up there. But like last month, she had a lot of like gold and silver and art deco, and so she would go around and gather up all these items and make a display, And now it's more spring things and brighter colors.
We went through so much of that last
painted
month.
furniture and all that stuff. And it's
and to
really
show how
cool.
good it was, I ended up buying something off that top shelf.
And they had a large piece of art that had sold, and I had something in the back.
It was about the same size.
And it was about the same size, and it would fit their theme. So the owner said, do you mind if we pull that item and put it up front? And I said, no. And it sold within a day.
I was going to say it wasn't even up there an hour because I was there that day.
So that, stuff like that is great. So if you have a decorating or staging talent, wow, that's awesome. And then she also does like furniture and sets up like rooms. We have a couch and a chair and a coffee table and a buffet or a dining room set. And so staging that area so that when you come in, it just draws you in and you look at it, and things are always moving in and out of that area as well. So if you have a special talent, think about offering your services, even if you say, well, I can only do a couple of hours, maybe once every other month, but I think I could really help in this instance, or I could help you do this or that. And it's going to help your business in the long run. If you help the big business succeed, it's because of vendors like you and other people who are pitching in and making it an awesome experience when you're there. Because our store is an experience. It's, you come in and you meet people who are happy to be there and awesome stuff. And, hey, we got new items and make sure you take a look at this. And we're all vendors, so we're all really interested in the business. It's not like an employee who's standing there and, you walk in and they're like, welcome to Happy Burger. What do you want? They're not happy to be there. They're not really benefiting. They're getting a paycheck, but they're not getting anything else. So to get people in this business where they're really excited to be there and to, give the customer an awesome experience where, you see on Facebook, man, we were there. Everybody was so nice. The bathroom was so clean. The store was so bright, and, it didn't have that secondhand smell. Everything was awesome. Just really cool to hear that, because that extra hard work you're putting in is paying off.
Yeah.
And when everyone cares, it makes a better place to just be, a nicer place to be, and a great place to make money, and it's just all around a benefit to everybody.
Yeah.
So seriously, if you have a talent, you have an idea, by all means, pull the owners aside and say, hey, I heard about this great idea for a tea party, or I heard about this great idea for this or that. Wow, we should maybe do something like that. And, because I hear ideas from other places, or I see, there was one event we had at the store where we had a table and we had a vendor sitting there with a sign that says, what is it? And different items that you had no idea. And you'd come up and you'd look and is it this? Does it do that? Just stuff like that where you get people to stop. You have that interaction, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. So, it's not somewhere you got to be. It's not the grocery store. It's not the title bureau or the license bureau where you got to go stand in line. And, you have to be there whether you want to or not. This is an experience, and if you make it pleasant, people are going to come back again and again and again.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to make our business successful. So I think that's all I had. Do you have anything else to add?
I think I added.
You done added and you're done.
Added and done adding.
So we hope that you enjoyed our podcast this week. Please give this video podcast a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Remember, if you have any questions,
get them in there.
Get them in there. Or if you want to email me, jen@pudgypicker.com. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram under The Pudgy Picker. And that is it. That is all. We will see you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.